All right, let's do this. Another edition of Tech on Ice. I want to do something different today. So we just had GitHub Universe. So for the folks that are watching this, it's November 1st today. So happy November 1st. But this week we had GitHub Universe, and I wanted to kind of talk about some of the announcements. Just as a disclosure for transparency, so I'm a vendor at Microsoft. So I work with GitHub Copilot stuff a lot for my job. Um, but what you're going to get is Isaac as a developer, not Isaac as a representative for those companies. Okay, so with that out of the way. So GitHub Universe, as we all know, this is like GitHub's like flagship first party event. They had some announcements that I think are kind of interesting for developers. The first one that I think is probably going to get the most, I guess, airplay is, so for some context, for GitHub Copilot, before, you had access basically to GitHub Copilot as a service, and then the model was hidden from you. The model was a version of GPT, right? OpenAI's GPT. Now they're bringing the flexibility for you to choose your own model. So Claude from Anthropic is an option, Gemini from Google, and then they're also providing you the ability to select different OpenAI models, like the O models. So the mini one being the one that's interesting for me. So what does this mean? Well, I think it's interesting because one, I think it's great to give folks flexibility. They're not the first one to do this. For folks that have been paying attention, Cursor is doing this already. So it's a little bit of chasing Cursor, but also interesting because I think they're targeting like the main models that people I think were asking for. But honestly, from my point of view, I think developers are going to pick the model they want to use, which is great. But I'm not as bullish on the idea of like hopping between models to do different tasks. I know that some models are better at like generating docs versus generating code, so it'll be interesting to see, in practice what that looks like. So that's like the big announcement. Some other announcements that I thought were kind of interesting, just flat out. GitHub released this concept called Spark, which I have a ton of opinions about, and I'll try to keep them short. But what Spark basically is, it's the ability to create what they're calling micro apps. They're calling them Sparks. But basically, think of like very small apps that do a very specific task. To kind of focus on that low-code developer segment. We already have low-code tools. Like Power Platform's a thing. AWS has some. Google has some. Also, like there are tons of companies or sites out there that's like, natural language text box to creating a website, right? We've seen tons of those. What I find interesting about Spark is that if they nail it, it's the best opportunity, in my opinion, to get developers to adopt this model. I think the biggest question that I've had with these sort of tools is, are developers going to want to consume them? Or are they literally just for business folks who want to be able to create small apps? But I think if it's embedded in GitHub, I think that there's an opportunity there for it to really sit with developers. But I mean, an app isn't an app without getting access to data, so it will be interesting to see what the security and access to data looks like. Because the goal is it to be kind of like all driven by natural language. How do you connect to a SQL database? Like, how do you handle connection strings? How do you do all those sort of things? So that'll be interesting to see. And then I think some other things that I found pretty interesting, and it's around kind of like the Copilot experience. So one, like code reviews powered by GitHub Copilot. So inside of a PR, which I think is exciting, yet makes me a bit nervous, because I think one of the one things that I thought was great about Copilot is that it helps you, but then eventually a human has to review it. Well, now an AI is going to be partially available to review coding changes. So if the AI makes the coding changes and the AI reviews it, like when is the person going to step in now? Hopefully we'll see kind of humans continue to kind of own that last step of validation. I do think it's super interesting though, because especially like if it's reviewing code that you didn't write, I think like if you get a PR from like an external contributor that you don't know for like your open source project, for instance, having like a first pass from AI is super valuable to me, because I don't want to burn my free time like reviewing some random PR that somebody put in. So that's cool. Um, Also, multi-file editing, which I think is pretty interesting, at least in context. So I'll be just when I say play around with it, I'll see. But the idea is you ask GitHub Copilot to in chat or whatever to, oh, I want to add this feature, and then it'll just edit multiple files for you. Which I think in the past it just kind of tells you you need to edit this file and then edit this file, but it actually will do them, which is pretty interesting. I think as a developer, like we hardly ever make changes to just one file. So if the AI can help us, like, oh, like these are all the files you need to update. Maybe I didn't know some of those files need to get updated, and I wouldn't know until I got some compilation errors or errors at runtime. So that's cool. And then I think the last thing that I'd like to kind of end on is, like, you're gonna see this phrase a lot more. This phrase called AI native, right? So the idea that like the AI is the ecosystem. Like you're seeing this with workspaces, which is kind of like their co-pilot powered like developer IE or developer ecosystem. We're going to see more and more of this phrase because I think that more and more you're going to see AI sprinkled into every facet of the developer experience. You know, you right click on something, you're going to get a bunch of AI recommendations to do different things. Type, obviously you got inline kind of like gray text. You have chat experiences, what have you. So I think more and more we're going to see like the AI steering the developer to make decisions. And I think we need to be very cognizant as a developer to let the AI do what it's good at and focus on what we're the best at and tell the AI, hey, leave me alone in nicer ways. So that's kind of my thoughts from GitHub Universe. Hope you like this sort of content where I'm kind of just going over announcements. I might try to do them, like obviously whenever we get big events or big announcements, I might kind of drop them in there. But comment down below what you're most excited about from what you saw from GitHub Universe or what GitHub Copilot in general, what you like about it. Like, subscribe, follow. Let me know what you think. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.